Hi everyone, and welcome to this video all about descriptive writing. This is for the GCSE in English language. This is the question where you get a picture and it will ask you to either write a story or a piece of descriptive writing. And this is paper 1, question 5, the big 40-mark writing task at the end of the paper. The emphasis of this video is all about redrafting. It's all about making your writing better in order to make your writing more compelling to read, more interesting to read, and more vivid in terms of imagery, perhaps more sensory, because all good descriptive writing appeals to the senses, putting the reader in a very clear sense of place. And that could be inspired, for example, by the image that you get in the exam paper. For this video, I'm going to be looking at 5 sentences with the aim of making these relatively simple sentences better. And I'm going to be using this image of a row of beach huts, which I was using recently in my lessons actually. And this is a task that I often do with my students, is I give them a very simplistic set of sentences like this. And I ask them to use their descriptive writing skills in order to make these sentences better. In other words, to make them more descriptive. These sentences are spelt okay, there's punctuation, but they're all very short. They never really get into much detail. And one of the skills, obviously, that students need to demonstrate when writing descriptively is to sometimes vary their sentence lengths, to have some much more detailed, longer sentences, but also to play about with word order. So this is a relatively short video, just to show you something that you could also do in your lessons or in your own time when you are revising, is to simply find a random image off of the internet, could be of anything, and to try and make your writing as descriptive as possible. So I'm going to go through each of these 5 sentences and giving you an alternative, a more successful alternative, and then I'm going to put them all together at the end and show you the difference. So our first sentence, the beach huts were made of wood. We could change that by saying weathered and colourful, a row of brightly coloured beach huts were flanking the edge of the sandy beach. So already you can see we're starting to add in more detail. We've got adjectives that begin the sentence, so we're changing the word order. We've got punctuation like the comma in there. And we've also got words like flanking and brightly coloured, which is giving a greater sense of place and a greater sense of imagery. Instead of saying they stood on the beach, we could say brave in the face of the explosions and violence thrown at them from the sea, comma, they had always defended their territory like a magnificent army. So not only are we playing about with vocabulary here, we've got magnificent, for example, territory defended, some more complex vocabulary. We've also got a simile in there. We're comparing the beach huts to an army there. And we're also starting that sentence as well with an adjective, brave. We can change they were filled with memories to after many summers of gaily dressed tourists and countless generations of smiles and laughter, the huts were filled with memories of those who had migrated to the coast, of picnics, cricket on the sand, barbecues, and many sunsets. So we've got a list there and a colon. So we're using more punctuation, more complex punctuation, as well as some lovely vocabulary in there as well. We could change people walked on the beach to this sentence. In front of them, holidaymakers strolled lazily across the beach, their feet occasionally licked by the gentle lapping of a wave, which attempted to crawl up the beach, but never getting very far before the froth dissolved with gentle hissing. You can see that's quite a long sentence, quite a long complex sentence, but it's also very detailed and has got lots of lovely descriptive writing skills in there. We're starting, for example, with a preposition in front of, so it gives a sense of place in relation to something else. We've got the adverb lazily. We have got the personification of the waves licking their feet. We have got the lovely verb lapping. And we're getting also some sounds coming through, like the gentle hissing. So sometimes when you see froth, it obviously begins to hiss as it begins to pop. So also appealing there to the senses. And finally, let's change the sea made noises in the distance 2. Glistening on the sand like jewels, shells and small pebbles had been washed up onto the shore next to larger clumps of foul-smelling seaweed, which lay tangled and knotted like discarded hair. So another simile there. We've also got the sentence that begins with the verb, glistening. Our punctuation is tight. We have senses as well to do with the smells and sights of the jewels like the pebbles, another simile. So what I'm hoping you're seeing here is that the sentences that below the arrow are much more confident, are much more detailed, and are demonstrating a greater variety of descriptive skills. So the icing on the cake is to put it all together and see how we've improved our initial piece of writing. So we have gone from the beach huts were made of wood, they stood on the beach, they were filled with memories, people walked on the beach, the sea made noises in the distance, which is very listy, it never really gets going, there aren't really that many descriptive writing skills demonstrated there, to all of our writing put together, weathered and colourful, a row of brightly coloured beach huts were flanking the edge of the sandy beach. Brave in the face of the explosions and violence thrown at them from the sea, they had always defended their territory like a magnificent army. After many summers of gaily dressed tourists and countless generations of smiles and laughter, the huts were filled with memories of those who had migrated to the coast, of pictures, cricket on the sand, barbecues, and many sunsets. In front of them, holiday-makers strolled lazily across the beach, their feet occasionally licked by the gentle lapping of a wave, which attempted to crawl up the beach, but never getting very far before the froth dissolved with gentle hissing. Glistening on the sand like jewels, shells and small pebbles had been washed up onto the shore next to larger clumps of foul-smelling seaweed, which lay tangled and knotted like discarded hair. So I hope you can see there, in a very short space of time, we have taken a very simplistic piece of description and elevated it in terms of the skills. It sounds much more confident, much more perceptive. So again, I would ask you to find a random image off the internet, write some simplistic sentences, and then challenge yourself to make them better. Put it all together and see how much your writing has improved. So a quick video there about redrafting and making descriptive writing more successful. Thank you.